Hulu's making some original movies with black people. Y'all gotta watch it. The movie kicks off with a couple happily in love and celebrating their wedding. However, like your average American married couple, they eventually end up hating each other so much and separate. While grabbing a box as she packs up to move out of the house, a bunch of books fall on Kiara's toes, making her groan in pain. She grabs a book about Vodun, an ancient West African religion that she's written and published, reminding her of some romantic memories with her husband, Miles. This couple is fine. Kiara's heart aches, so she immediately drinks her favorite pain medication, a big bottle of fresh vodka. She then packs the books and throws them outside. As she's about to return inside, she receives a text from Miles that he's coming over that night to get his stuff. It seems he's been texting her all day, but she's been leaving him on read. While brooding and writing a final letter for Miles that night, Kiara recalls a time when he asked if she'd unleash some root magic spell on him if they broke up. Kiara jokingly says he'd better do things right, or he might just feel her wrath. She then goes into the bath to cool her head, but has a meltdown instead after recalling happy memories of their marriage. She tries to drown herself but snaps out of it after hearing a noise from the living room and thinking it's Miles. When she goes to check, Kiara is surprised that the lights aren't working. She hears a noise coming from outside the door, and because she's half white, she opens it, but no one is there. Then all of a sudden, the record player that was supposed to be broken starts playing. Then she hears knocking from the door again, but this time it's only Miles who seems annoyed she hasn't been answering his texts. Confused and terrified, Kiara tries to explain what happened, including the broken record suddenly playing. However, Miles just looks at her suspiciously, as if she's been drinking again. Miles then calls Kiara out for her poor packing skills, pointing out she's still not done, even though the realtor will be visiting the next day. Then Kiara starts feeling dizzy. When Miles helps her out, she points out he's still wearing their ring, and he replies his fingers became obese. Feeling concerned, Miles says she should take a break and offers to stay the night to help with the packing. I'm sure that's not the type of packing she wants you to do. He then tucks her into bed and feels disappointed to see that her bedside table is filled with bottles of alcohol. Miles reminisces about his life as a fighter, which resulted in his knees getting permanently injured and him having to quit the sport. Most importantly, he can't get down on his knees to eat me out anymore. Meanwhile, Kiara has a nightmare about Vodun books and blood sacrifice. She has a dream within a dream where she's cooking, but a girl named Sabrina calls her, and there's a puddle of water with an airplane piece on top of it. In the morning after waking up, Kiara finds the living room a mess. All the things she's packed are scattered on the floor again. She calls Miles, who also failed to pack the other night because he fell asleep. The two immediately get into an argument, with Kiara blaming Miles for the mess. However, Miles immediately claps back, saying it was either Kiara's ancestral spirits or the vodka she's been chugging that told her to make the mess. Kiara snaps back, saying she's tired of Miles because he don't listen. Miles points out that they went to therapy together for months. However, Kiara says none of that matters because he left her. Then the movers ring the doorbell, and Miles is elated he doesn't have to hear Kiara complain anymore. However, to his surprise, all the doors and windows in the house are locked. On top of that, no matter how much they shout and make a commotion, the movers outside can't seem to hear or see them at all. It's as if they've been completely isolated in the realm of non-existence. Eventually, the movers decide to leave since they believe nobody is home. In desperation, Miles tries to break the windows with a chair, but to his surprise, it's the chair that breaks into pieces instead. While Miles desperately starts shouting for someone to open the door, Kiara begins to hear some strange buzzing noises. She asks Miles if he can hear them too, but he doesn't hear anything. But then, the lights begin to flicker, and one after the other, the window blinds start closing. Confused, Kiara and Miles look at each other. Suddenly, Miles falls to the ground, and something unseen drags him across the floor. Kiara chases him, and they both end up in front of a closed room. After that, Miles tries to make sense of what's going on, while Kiara continues hearing the buzzing sound and some faint whispers. She follows it, and the voices lead her to a mirror in the other room, where her reflection suddenly comes to life, looking like a bruja. Then it tries to choke her to bring her into the mirror. Of course, the evil reflection conveniently disappears when Miles arrives after hearing Kiara in her choke me zaddy era. He looks at her with suspicion and concern, as if trying to figure out if she's too far gone with the alcohol. At first, Kiara hesitates to tell Miles what she thinks is going on, and that's because she's scared he'll think she's gone mad. However, Miles insists, so she tells him that she thinks there's a Vodun spirit in the house, one that traps people in their houses. I do that freely and just bed rot. Of course, Miles immediately rejects the idea of a Vodun spirit because it's not real. He even points out that Kiara already said she no longer believes in that spiritual stuff. To him, there's only one spirit that can cause all those problems, and its name is vodka. However, Kiara insists she's not going crazy. She says it's the only way to make sense of everything that's happened so far, including how Miles suddenly got dragged on the floor earlier. After that, Kiara goes to another room to perform a ritual. She puts salt around her because the spirits are hypertensive as is. The wind suddenly blows the pages of her notebook to a page where a symbol slowly appears. It's the symbol of the Oya, which represents the African goddess of death and rebirth. Terrified, Kiara calls Miles to show him the symbol, but to her surprise, he only sees a blank page. She is convinced the spirit is trying to communicate with them. Once again, it's met by skepticism from Miles, who seems tired of her schizophrenic ahs. Instead of thinking about spirits, Miles focuses on using power tools to break open the door, but he fails miserably. Frustrated, he decides to just blame Kiara to never want to face real life. He believes they wouldn't be in that situation if she had just taken accountability for her actions. Of course, it only leads to more arguments, but they quickly get interrupted when they suddenly hear their smoke alarm, low battery warning, and things begin floating and exploding inside the room. By the end of it all, the broken record player suddenly plays again. Later, Miles continues trying to figure out how to get out of the house. Meanwhile, Kiara once again finds herself reminiscing about her once colorful marriage. Miles' eggplant purred when he first saw Kiara in the audience of one of his fights. This weirdly motivates him to win the match. From that point on, the two were inseparable and had written each other letters. They would bend each other in all types of kinky spaces too. Then she starts hearing faint whispers again and ends up following them. Miles also hears some strange noises, and when he follows them, he sees his demonic doppelganger and ends up becoming its punching bag. While that happens, Kiara also meets her demonic doppelganger, who tries to drown her in the bathtub. In the end, Kiara snaps back into reality. It was all just her hallucinations again, probably still a lingering side effect of communicating with the spirit of vodka. However, she hears the buzzing sounds again, but this time, she also sees some footprints appearing on the floor one by one. She follows them, and it leads her to a box filled with her Vodun-related stuff. Miles, on the other hand, is still stuck in flashback land. The hallucination makes him relive the moment when he got fed up with Kiara's alcohol problems and left her. Seeing her in such a pained state makes Miles freeze, but Kiara eventually makes him snap back to reality again. After using all her grandma's Vodun equipment, Kiara performs a ritual to communicate with the spirits. Miles joins her this time because he can no longer deny that something supernatural is happening in the house. During the ritual, Kiara is possessed and pulled inside the mirror world, where she ends up meeting her ancestors. Her ancestor basically tells her to return to the world of the living, get her act together, and reconcile with Miles. This could have been an email. When she wakes up, Kiara sees Miles reading the letter she wrote to him before she planned to take her life. He confronts her about it, and the two finally set their egos aside and open up about how they truly feel. After that, Kiara starts the final ritual, the one that will hopefully help them get out of their prison. The spirit of her ancestor takes over Kiara's body, showing Miles a dance of her ancestors. Once complete, the ritual makes them relive the deepest trauma of their marriage. It turns out that before their marriage came crashing down, Kiara and Miles had a son named Jeremiah, whom they both adored deeply. During Jeremiah's birthday, he received a toy airplane as a gift, and he wanted to play with it outside. Since Miles went out to get some groceries, Kiara opted to let the child play while she watched him from inside the house. Everything seemed fine at first, but then Kiara suddenly gets a call from her manager. During that time, Jeremiah's toy plane got stuck in a tree near the pool, and that's when disaster happened. While Kiara is busy talking with her manager about her successful book launch, her cooking timer goes off and she doesn't notice that Jeremiah has gone to grab a ladder to try to retrieve it. A few minutes later, Miles arrives and asks where Jeremiah is. Kiara tells him he's just playing outside, but when Miles checks, he can't find him. Eventually, Miles makes his way to the pool, and that's when he realized what happened. Miles rushes and jumps into the pool after seeing Jeremiah's lifeless body floating. They try their best to resuscitate him, but it's too late. When they snap back into reality, Kiara says it was all her fault. They end up accepting each other's pain, and for once, agree that they both need to move on and forgive themselves for what happened. However, they start hearing the buzzing sounds, but this time, something unexpected happens. Jeremiah's spirit suddenly appears before them. It seems he was the spirit that trapped his parents in the house, and he did that to help them stay together. Kiara and Miles hug their son and tell him how much they love him. Realizing his parents are now ready to move on, Jeremiah leaves, but not before telling them that he'll always be with them. After receiving a second chance to see their son and forgive each other, Kiara and Miles give their marriage another shot. This time, they're more honest and open to each other. They also have another child coming, and both of them feel happy about it. Well, that was depressing, but I'm glad it ended on a happier note. The acting was great, and you should definitely check it out on Hulu. It's called Stay. What did you guys think of this one?
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe now and turn on the notification because YouTube isn't recommending my videos. And if you like to watch more foolishness, click here or here.